The United Kingdom European Union membership referendum, also known as the EU referendum, took place in the United Kingdom and Gibraltar on the 23rd of June 2016. Membership of the European Union has been a topic of debate in the United Kingdom since the country joined the European Economic Community, as it was known then, in 1973. This article lists by voting area all the results of the referendum, each ordered into national and regional sections. Under the provisions of the European Union Referendum Act 2015, there were a total of 382 voting areas across 12 regions. In England, the 326 local districts were used as the voting areas. These consist of all unitary authorities, all metropolitan boroughs, all shire districts, the London boroughs, the City of London, and the Isles of Scilly. The 9 regions of England were then also used to count the votes at the regional level, with Gibraltar being a part of southwest England. Northern Ireland was a single voting area, as well as being a regional count, although local totals by Westminster Parliamentary Constituency area were announced. In Scotland, the 32 Scottish councils were used as voting areas and a single national count. In Wales, the 22 Welsh councils were used as the voting areas and a single national count. On the 23rd of June 2016, the United Kingdom voted to leave the European Union by 51.9% for leave, and 48.1% for the Remain campaign, with 263 voting areas voting to leave the European Union, to 119 voting areas who voted to remain a member of the European Union. United Kingdom. The result of the referendum for the United Kingdom and Gibraltar was declared by the Chief Counting Officer for the referendum, Jenny Watson. In a UK-wide referendum, the position of Chief Counting Officer is held by the Chair of the Electoral Commission. The results were declared at Manchester Town Hall at 0720 BST on Friday, the 24th of June 2016. The following figures are as reported by the Electoral Commission. UK regional results returns from major cities. Out of over 33.5 million valid votes cast across the United Kingdom, over 8.8 million, or just over 1/4, were cast in 30 major cities that each gathered 100,000 votes or more. In those 30 cities, votes to remain outnumbered those to leave by over 900,000, while in the other voting areas, the votes to leave outnumbered those to remain by nearly 2.2 million. England. Unlike the other constituent countries of the United Kingdom, there was no centralised national count of the votes in England, as counting was divided into 9 regional count areas, which were the same areas as used for the European parliamentary elections. It should also be noted that figures from Gibraltar are also included. East Midlands. The East Midlands region was broken down into 40 voting areas. East of England. The East of England region was broken down into 47 voting areas. Greater London. The Greater London region was broken down into the 33 London boroughs, which were the voting areas. North East England. The North East England region was broken down into 12 voting areas. North West England. The North West England region was broken down into 39 voting areas. South East England. The South East England region was broken down into 67 voting areas. South West England. The South West England region was broken down into 38 voting areas. Gibraltar. For the purposes of this referendum, and as is the case with European parliamentary elections, the overseas territory of Gibraltar is was a single voting area placed in the South West England constituency. It is the first time the territory has taken part in any UK-wide referendum, as they did not participate in either the original 1975 EEC referendum or 2011 AV referendum, as Gibraltar does not send any members of Parliament to the House of Commons in Westminster, West Midlands. The West Midlands region was broken down into 30 voting areas. Yorkshire and the Humber. The Yorkshire and the Humber region was broken down into 21 voting areas. Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland was a single voting area, as well as being a regional count. Local totals were announced in each of the 18 UK parliamentary constituency areas within Northern Ireland, but did not constitute as voting areas. Scotland. Scotland's voting areas were broken down into the 32 Scottish councils. Scottish reaction. All 32 local council areas within Scotland returned majority votes in favour of Remain a member of the European Union against the majority of voters within the United Kingdom, heightening tensions between the Scottish Government and the UK Government less than 2 years after the 2014 Scottish independence referendum. Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, in her reaction to the result the next day, said, "Yesterday, Scotland, like London and Northern Ireland, voted overwhelmingly to remain in the EU. We voted to protect our place in the world's biggest single market, and the jobs and investment that depend on it. We voted to safeguard our freedom to travel, live, work and study in other European countries. And we voted to renew our reputation as an outward-looking, open and inclusive country." And she also went on to say, "As things stand, Scotland faces the prospect of being taken out of the EU against our will. I regard that as democratically unacceptable, and of course we face that prospect less than 2 years after being told that it was our own referendum on independence that would endure membership of the European Union, and that only a rejection of independence could protect it. Indeed, for many people the supposed guarantee of remaining in the EU was a driver in the decision to vote to stay within the UK. So there is no doubt that yesterday's result represents a significant and a material change of the circumstances in which Scotland voted against independence in 2014. Wales. The voting areas in Wales were broken down into the 22 Welsh councils. Result by constituency. The EU referendum vote was not counted by parliamentary constituencies. However, a number of local councils and districts have released the referendum result by electoral ward or constituency. Moreover, several constituency boundaries are coterminous with a local government district. Northern Ireland also counted the votes by Westminster parliamentary constituency. The following figures show the EU referendum vote by constituency. Most Leave areas. The following were the 10 voting areas that voted most heavily in favour of Leave. All but one of them came from the East Midlands and East of England regions, with 4 out of the top 10, including both the top 2, came from Lincolnshire. Most Remain areas. The following were the 10 voting areas that voted most heavily in favour of Remain. All but 3 of them came from the Greater London region. Most evenly divided areas. The narrowest margin of victory for any of the 382 voting areas in the United Kingdom was the Scottish Council of Moray, which voted by just 122 votes, a 0.25% margin in favour of Remain. In England, the narrowest margin of victory for Leave was in Watford, which voted by just 252 votes, a 0.5% 0.54% margin in favour of Leave, and in Cherwell, which also voted by just 500 votes, a 0.61% margin in favour of Leave, and the narrowest margin of victory for Remain was the London Borough of Bromley, which voted by just 2,364 votes, or a 1.30% margin in favour of Remain.